Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about progressive overload. So for you newbies out there, we're going to cover how to make progress, whether it's weight loss or body composition changes, building lean muscle. No matter what your goals are, we can show you different ways to get that result. For those of you experienced with weightlifting, we are going to cover 5 different ways that you can approach progressive overload when you are programming your weightlifting program or when somebody programs for you what they are looking at going forward over your 8, 12, 16-week block of your program. So if you are working out almost every day, you're jumping around, doing different workouts, aiming for that, muscle confusion, thinking that you're going to make great gains, I'm sorry, but that's just not the way it works. Using a progressive overload approach helps you to build over time. And there are 5 ways that you can do that we're going to talk about today. All of these are real simple ways to slightly adjust your programming and your workouts on a regular basis, on a planned kind of time frame, and then you see results over time. Versus jumping around doing one thing, one week, something else the next week, and then still staying in the same position where nothing ever seems to change. So number 1 is to increase the resistance. This means pushing those 5-pound dumbbells is not going to get you the result that you want. If you start at 5 pounds because you're brand new to weightlifting, that's great. That's where you should be. And then you should be building up. Once you learn proper technique and movements, you should be building up, whether it's every week, every other week. This is one approach to progressive overload, is to build that strength over time and not doing the same amount of weight every single time. As the weights increase, the muscle grows, you lose fat, and you get that more lean appearance that most people are looking for. How much you should be lifting is completely individual, depends on where your starting point is, but just sort of making progress forward, just know that you should be going up. You can drop questions in the comments of if you have particular questions for you, or schedule a discovery call over on the website and I can fine tune for your particular situation. Okay, so number 2 is to increase the repetitions. So this means you maintain the same amount of weight, but over time you increase the amount of repetitions. So on your first week of programming, you may push through, 6 or 8 repetitions, and that feels moderately challenging. And then 3 weeks from that time, you should be able to push through maybe 10 reps, 12 reps, and so on. Generally, we aim for that 8 to 12 rep range when we're working on strength and muscle building. But again, this is super variable depending on where you're at. But just in general, knowing that if you increase the reps over time, you can increase strength, you can build muscle. So for instance, if you're somebody who is an experienced lifter and you do back squats and you do 3 sets of 5 repetitions, then, increasing that over time to doing 3 sets of 6 reps or 8 reps or 10 reps and so on. And again, those are ways to increase that strength over time. All right, and number 3 is to increase the volume. So this is to increase the number of sets that you do on a given training day, or increasing the number of sets across the week. So in that back squat example, if you were doing 3 sets of 5, over time you might increase to doing 4 sets of 5 and then 5 sets of 5, and still maybe maintaining the same amount of weight. It is possible, of course, to mix those 2 together, but if you are new to lifting, I would recommend doing kind of one thing at a time over your weeks of progression. All right, number 4 is to increase your training frequency. So that means if you typically train 2 to 3 times per week, that you might increase it to 4 times per week or 5 times per week. But we still want to maintain some rest days in there, at least 1 a week for just about everybody, and then 2 for many others. The body needs to rest, the muscles need to recover when we're working on building them. So be mindful of not overtraining with this aspect, but if you do increase the frequency of training, you again can increase that muscle mass over time and that strength over time. One way I like to use this is to train a weaker body part. So after I recovered from a shoulder injury, doing some dumbbell presses, I would just kind of tack it on to my regular work. and doing one extra set on my left side so that over time that left arm could catch up to the right without overworking on the right side and having some imbalances. Okay, and number 5 is to decrease the rest time between sets. So I am not a huge fan of running. My endurance, depending on where I am with my training, can be really great, can be not so great. So I always joke that weightlifting is my cardio. So weightlifting gets my heart rate up. And if we shorten that rest time in between sets, that heart rate increases even further. And so we again can see improvement in cardiovascular health this way, but also with muscle strength and muscle building over time. So generally, if I'm lifting moderate to heavy, I am taking a 2 to 3 minute rest in between sets. So if I focused on just decreasing my rest time between sets through a cycle, I might try to get that rest time down to 60 to 90 seconds over time. I wouldn't jump into doing that right away if I'm lifting heavier. We want to get those muscles reoxygenated before we jump into the next set. But again, if you were using this approach over 8 to 12 weeks, you could slowly improve that. The other thing is if you're lifting a little bit more on the light to moderate side, again, taking shorter rest periods will get you more bang for your buck. All right, so we've covered 5 ways to address progressive overload in your training program to get the results you want. So you can include any of these methods in your training, but I do recommend focusing on just one at a time if you're brand new, and maybe 1 or 2 if you are an experienced lifter or you have somebody helping you program your workouts. As your body adapts, it's good to know that you have some available options to easily make some changes without having to buy fancy equipment, without having to go, run for hours on end if that's not something you enjoy. So how do you choose one? It kind of depends on your goals. So things like increasing your total volume, your sets, your frequency of training might be really helpful for a bodybuilder. Decreasing the rest time between your sets is going to be more helpful for somebody who is an endurance athlete or somebody who wants to get a little bit better cardiovascular endurance for, say a marathon they want to do or a hiking trip they have planned. Those things will help, that person a little bit better. So the techniques you use should be in line with your fitness goals. You shouldn't have to do something that you hate, don't enjoy, or that isn't going to help you reach your ultimate goal. We know that, of course, you have to work for things and you don't always going to feel like you want to go work out and put in the time. But if you're habitual with it, you will reach your goals. And if you do it in a way that aligns with your goals and your time and your lifestyle, you're much more likely to hit your goals and be successful. So drop a comment in and let me know what you want to hear more of and if this was helpful for you, as well as come on over to the website. We have a free weightlifting program for people who are newbies, so beginners to weightlifting. It can be really helpful to just have a quick guideline to go through and build through a 4-week block and then put it on repeat for a few months until you're comfortable with lifting. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'll see you next time.